Okay. Good morning again. Welcome to our last day. It's a half-day session today, and my panel here will be making sure that they go through their presentations by 10:30. And after that, we'll have a tea break, and the next session will be commencing. So please join me in welcoming our panel here that will be talking to us on emerging issues in the DNS industry, which is the blockchain technology and the DNS, stemmed of Africa, a utility token already listed in the DNS ecosystem in Africa. And this was supposed to be presented by Dr. Nii Quaynor, but he has his trusted, what must I say, apprentice, intern, now, but it's not, Aborogo Vitas. Welcome, Aborogo. Thank you. And then after that, we'll have Barrack Otieno. He will take us through the registry failover and that is recovery. Barrack, again, welcome, thank you. And then after that, we'll have Alain Durand from ICANN, who will be taking us through collecting data on DNS, resolvers and authoritative TLD servers. This is a special project that he is currently undertaking, and he'll take us through the project. May I start off by inviting Vitas to take us through the emerging issues on the DNS industry. Vitas, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Thank you, Lucky. I'll prefer to my presentation before. Okay, so my slide is. Okay, my name is Vitus from Ghana.com. As you rightly said, I'm an apprentice of Dr. Nii. So typically, if you was here, I guess you have, if you know him, because AIS would have started by saying, AFNIC, then you respond success. But I think we're in African DNS Forum, so you have said African DNS Forum, and then you respond with a team, right? Okay. Standard African. Sorry. Okay, so I'm here to give you an update on Standard Africa project. This has been presented on several forums. So I'm here to just give you an update. Okay, so I'll be walking you through 4 teams as far as the update is concerned. So I'll remind you of the key concepts of this project. I'll also take you through the prior activities before AIS 2018 in Dakar. Then I'll also give you an update on the activities that took place during the forum itself, and then give you an update on the development progress, and probably conclude with a demo. Okay, so the key concepts. These are the problem statements. You might have heard them during yesterday's panel discussion when we were discussing the issues on payment gateways. So the problem of how to solve small amounts of transfers in the 3R or 4R model with lower fees and across jurisdictions. This is a problem that, if you remember, was echoed. Then there's also the problem of how to remove the need for African registrars to kind of have credit or deposits in the African registries. So let's say we have 55 of the registries, right? If you add, let's say, North Africa, then that's 56. Assuming these registries were to ask registrars to deposit $1,000, okay, so that a registrar can have a successful business with them. It means the registrar will have to look out for $56,000, okay, and that is almost, if you think about that, like $500,000, and that's huge. So definitely that is a problem. Let's extend it outside the African registries. Yesterday there was a presentation by Grancy, and from the slide I saw they were connected to about 1,200 registries. So extrapolate, if you were to connect to 1,200 registries, and you were supposed to deposit a minimum of $1,000, means you're looking about over 1.2 million. If you had that, I'm sure you put that money into marketing to get the names, which is the main focus. Okay, so there's also a problem of, that's two other problems, sorry.
The next one.
No? Backwards? Okay, so we have to refresh. Okay, so then, sorry, good. So we also want to remove the barrier of poor networks. So we intend to reward trust. We want to reward trust by issuing our tokens. So this is to say, if you want to encourage you to do some good networks in your networks, so we want to use this project to kind of incentivize people who do good works. Next. So what is our approach? Basically, we want to combine the DNS trust architecture with the trustless architecture of the blockchain. We also have an approach of trying to use a token to streamline cross-jurisdictions transactions in the DNS ecosystem. Then we want to reward for contribute trust in the infrastructure, and then enable, that is to stimulate African developers to begin to think of design application using the token-based systems. Next. Okay. Messing up my slides. Okay, so stamp and trust. We want to associate stamped African tokens with a domain name. Now, the stamped African token address is supposed to be stored in the DNS as a resource record. The domain name participating in this will be rewarded. That's for contributing his trust in building the DNS ecosystem. Then the beautiful part of then storing the transactions in the blockchain itself. Next one. So I'll use this diagram to illustrate to you the process. So let's consider two entities, say C and B, where C is the consumer and B is the registrar or the merchant. So C, who wishes to buy a domain, goes to the portal of the registrar or the merchant. Now, C, who has a stamp wallet, wishes to pay for the service. So C, through the portal, reads the payment address of the merchant from the DNS. By that time, B would have generated an invoice for C to pay. Now, for C to pay, C with his wallet will broadcast the payment into the blockchain world. That's the other side. Now, he broadcasts the transaction and blocks are created. B, who has been paid, checks in the blockchain, and here we're talking about cryptography because B has a private key that knows that he has been mentioned in a certain blog where C has sent some funds to him. So B rightfully retrieve his funds, and then B then delivers the goods to C. Then we can say the transaction has ended. Next slide. If you pay attention to the blockchain community, you will notice that there has been a lot of talk of proof of work and proof of stake. This has been widely discussed. Now the question is, what is our proof of stake as far as consensus is concerned in the Stamp.Africa project? Now we define our consensus of state as a set of all domains in a pool, or DNSSEC is turned on, and the resource record is a standard address. Now, commit is therefore defined as, so if you ask what's our consensus of state, we say it is the proof of presence. You must be present in the DNS infrastructure. Okay, then rewards are then given for participating in this exercise. Next slide. I then go ahead to now have a look at the concepts. What did we do prior to AIS 2018? So the concept of this was actually conceived somewhere September 2017. Then we quickly did a rapid prototyping in 2 mature platforms as far as cryptocurrencies is concerned. Then testing concept through lecture series at universities. So there was a lecture at Ashashi University in Ghana, one of the renowned private universities. Then there was also a presentation at the University of Ghana where I got my first degree and where Prof also lectures. And then Prof was at the University of Dartmouth College in the United States where he also did a presentation. Then in March 2018, call for papers, and we did this through mailing list, such as LinkedIn, and then I think it was also sent to ISOC via SIG group for comments. Now, during AIS 2018 in Dakar, what did we do? There were 3 presentations that were successfully taken. I remember there was a presentation at the blockchain tutorial class. There was also a presentation with the African Registrars Association meeting. And then there was a main presentation at the AFNIC conference meeting itself. All these were presented by Dr. Nii. Okay. So by that, we were able to assess the level of interest among registrars, and the community as a whole. We provided technical information to how the project works. So out of these, there were a number of comments, and we summarized the comments into these few points. Generally, we were encouraged to continue with the development. People kind of recognized that it was a good thing to kind of glue the DNS and the blockchain together. Many applauded the micropayment systems in the DNS ecosystem. We're also advised to reorganize our information so that it becomes clear as far as the problems in the African DNS was concerned. I remember in our version 1, that was not so clear to people when they read our white paper. We had some negative feedback, such as I think people were not comfortable with the idea that we wanted to use not-for-profit governance as a vehicle to run this project. There was also an issue of us trying to use ICOs to raise funds for this project. So initial coin offering was not, kind of supported. And role for community in harmonizing standards. building frameworks and applications were pointed out. Next steps. We are pleased with the response, and we want to thank everyone for hearing us, and then we thank them for the feedback. We want to continue building the blockchain operations. So, Standard Africa Company Limited by Guarantee will be formed to play the role of blockchain and DNS community funded by a blockchain operator. There's plans for governance of startup to be announced in the future, expected to be lightweight organization with advisory council. So current development, there's a new paper out there, so version 3, and this also gives much emphasis or clarity on the rewards mechanism. And some BCP under consideration that includes that stamp account should be in the DNS, zone must be signed, and several other BCP practices. We are trying to tie up the project in terms of the technical aspects, and then we are still receiving letters of support. So there's a typical example of a supporter who sent us a mail, but I'd like to read out in the 4th paragraph, which I think was key. We do this with the understanding that we can redeem the stamp.africa tokens at fixed price in dollars from blockchain operator, which I think makes a lot of sense. Okay, so that brings me to the end of that part of my presentation. I will run you through the prototype demo. Okay, so let's say there's a registrant with a stamp wallet who wishes to purchase a domain, right? So he goes to the merchant or the registrar and keys in a domain that he wishes to purchase. Next. So he gets an invoice and note the address, the payment address that is supposed to be kind of paid to is read from the DNS. This is just an example of a configuration that has been placed in the DNS. This is to demonstrate the glue of blockchain and the DNS that we are trying to explore. Next. Okay, so the merchant then shows up his payment address in the form of a QR code. So the consumer reads this with his phone and then transfers the funds. Next. Okay, so there is what we call a notification that goes to the registrar or the merchant who sees that a transfer has come through successfully. And of course, the consumer also gets a notification that he has successfully transferred